not just a formal way of saying it, to have Rasem Babban with us. Rasem is the director of the Munich Zoo. He's an architect by training, so it's a unique combination that really supports our mission here. And I'm going to let you tell us a little bit about your own story, and then, yeah. So, thank you.
Okay.
That's the most important thing I can say.
Dobre dan and welcome. That's my only word in Ukrainian. So I talk in English, and I also want to apologize my not perfect English, because it's sometimes very difficult to find the correct words for this very special presentation. So if there are any questions, just raise up your hand, and then I try to answer this question. I also want to sit down, because these are round about 165 slides. No matter, we will check this all in a, maybe not in a fast, but in a concentrated way. Master planning. You said I should tell something about my history, maybe at the end of this, because that's more interesting. Me, just one of another architect community. That's not so interesting. Master planning for zoos and aquariums. I try to explain you really some basics, because planning for a zoo and or an aquarium, mostly both are in the same place. A zoo has mostly an aquarium inside. It is totally a different, maybe strange world, because a zoo is really like a small city within a city. There's everything. There are visitors, animals, there is infrastructure, there is staff, there is a director, maybe like a mayor of a city or not. And there are many things coming from outside, inside this zoo, and we have to handle and to manage this all the time. A zoo is a 365-day company. We never closed. Also in Munich, some zoos are closing through the winter time, but these are just 3 or 2 in Germany, I think so. Most zoos are completely opened, and we are also a 24 hours company. Not for the visitors. The visitor time is from 9 to 5 in winter time, and from 9 to 6 in the summertime. That's the basics. Okay, starts, get in control here. Yes. To plan a zoo, or to plan an enclosure, or to plan something inside a zoo, there are some basics you have to know. And these are, oh, you can't read it, these are 2 books in English, and they are very important, and you have really to read this to understand why zoos exist in the 21st century and what the aims of a zoo is today, because the history of the zoo is not the best one. 100 years ago, a zoo was really, a stage where animals were presented under very bad conditions, behind inside cages, behind fences, and the headline was, "This is the cruel beastie of the living animal from a jungle." It was a gorilla. It's an animal. It's our relative. And so just only horrible stories told about these animals, just to make sensations. And nothing was told about why is this animal suffering, for example, why this animal is endangered, and why we have to do something like conservation. This was completely unknown 100 years ago. Zoos completely changed after ending World War II. And then mostly of the zoo directors started to think about, we have to create zoos completely new. We have a message. We must send this message to our visitors. And we see it later. There are 4 columns of a modern zoo in the 21st century. And these 4 columns were invented by Heini Hediger. It was a zoo director in Switzerland. And he first wrote the first book of modern zoological themes in 1926, I think. So in the time, nobody talks about animal, just animal to eat them and to be fascinated because they are so, yes, like a beast or something like that, but not animal to protect. Protecting animal, this was absolutely unknown in this time. And there are also two organizations you have to know. You can also find them on the internet. The homepage of IASA is www.iasa.com. Also VASA. IASA is the European Association of Zoos and Aquariums, and this is the World Association of Zoos and Aquariums. And they designed guidelines how a modern zoo in 21st century has to be built, has to be designed, has to be run. And you can find this on this two homepage. And this is very interesting. And all modern zoos, which are a member of these two organizations, has to fulfill these guidelines. If not, you will lose your status and you will not be part of this community. And this would be this would be a very bad situation, because if you're not part of this, of one or better of both communities, you can't change animals. And changing animals is a basic for conservation. Because maybe, for example, if we have got two polar bears as offspring, nice to have, but they grow up, and then where can I put them? To outside, doesn't work until now. So we have to cooperate with other zoos to change animals, also because of the genetic background, to breed in a correct way and to have a healthy offspring of every wild animal. So the World Zoo Association, also the European Zoo Association, is a big family. No zoo can work totally alone. We have to work together. That's not a one-man show, a zoo. It's a big worldwide community. And this is also something which you have to know when you're planning a zoo. A zoo is not a standing alone thing. It's a part of a community. But there are some other people, we call them visitors, and so it's really interesting what a visitor understands by a zoo. And there are different thoughts and meanings and opinions about a zoo. Maybe some of them talk about, oh, a zoo is like a park-like facility with animals. This sounds like 100 years ago, but most of the people are thinking the same thing today. Conservation, environmental protection, natural reserve. This is until now not so well known inside the visitor community. We have to talk more about this, and this is also one important thing for your design, for your planning, that education is the one and only thing a zoo can exist in the 21st century. And there are two other things I'll show you later. This is a bad thing, people, animals, sensation, like a circus. We are not a circus. Science and research, that's the second important thing. Animal prison, maybe that. If we saw old zoos or zoos with a bad standard, you can really tell them, this looks like an animal prison, and we have to fight against this, to build better zoos as an architect. Experience animals with all your senses. This is very interesting for our visitors, because many people said, okay, if I want to see animals, wild animals, or if I want to learn something about wild animals, then I look television, BBC, National Geographic, I can see everything. Okay, but you see just in a two-dimensional way. You see them, and maybe you hear them if you've got a very good television. But you can't smell them, you can't touch them, and you can't feel them with all your 5 senses. This is the only way you can find it inside a zoo. And so a zoo has got this, this challenge and this advantage to explain much more about animals than ever a documentary movie can do. Popular science exhibition of wild animals, yes, it must be popular, not so, oh, it's so boring, it's scientific, oh God, it's like in school. It must be a mixture between popular emotion and, yes, to bring all your 5 senses within, to be in contact with these animals, not in contact with a lion, this is just a one-time experience, but to be a part of nature, because then you really understand why nature is endangered, why species conservation is needed, and why we have to do something against, for example, nowadays, climate change and all these things. Also relaxing from everyday life. If we have got a stressful day, working every day in our job, at the weekend you want to relax, okay, that's a good thing, and you can do both relaxing and learning new things, learning within the nature and relaxing within the nature. Animal suffering and cruelty to animals. This is the bad history of zoos 100 years ago. Also today, some zoos are not really a modern zoo, and you can really talk to them. This is really animal suffering, which I can see there. Emotions and true nature feeling, as I told you. Retreat for endangered species. A zoo is, in many, many cases, the only safe place for wild animals, because outside the natural habitat is lost because of the digging for resources, oil, gas, and so on, hunting, poaching. Animals are the loser of this planet today, and we have to change this. Showcasing the dominance of the people about the animal. No good idea. This is like a circus work, but not a zoo. So the animal is maybe the host, but not, it's not something to play with. Nice hours in nature, educational about flora and fauna. We really completely looked through the nature, and sensitization of people to nature, because we lost contact to nature. Whole the day we are sitting inside a building, we are playing with our mobile phones, technical characters surrounding us, and we lost contact to nature. We lost the feeling, is it spring or winter or summer? I checked my mobile phone and it tells me. So this is also one, we have to learn to listen to nature, and you can really listen very clear without disturbing inside a zoo. Master planning for zoos, really just some basics. It's I can refer for many, many hours or days just for master planning, and I try to show you what can a master plan do. A master plan is not the crown, but it is a important roadmap if you want to fix your ideas on a paper and to show it maybe to the community, to the government, and maybe you want to get more money to modernize or to renovate a zoo. Then you have to build a master plan and also a business plan. Business plan is more economic, master plan is more creative, but also a business plan is very creative. But first you need a master plan, then you can do the business plan, step by step. It's a strategic orientation and objective in the course of a partial of complete reorientation. Whoa. Yeah, what a sentence, yes. You can make a photo. describes the feasibility of the planned projects in terms of spatial dimensions and temporal structure, provides first indications of required financial resources. This is the basis for the following business plan. Yes, says there's a developing then the business plan. It's a binding timetable in the following implementation phase. You have to know how long does it take, because this is also an important part for a business plan, because money it's very cheap to get it from the bank as a loan, but maybe in future not, and so you have to calculate it very well. Provides important milestones and evaluation phases. That means a master plan, a timetable for a master plan is round about between 15 and 25 years. 5 years is a very short, I don't want to say this is a master plan, it's a plan. A master plan is between 15 and 25 years. But if you're now creating a master plan, you didn't know what happens in 25 years. Things change, and so you have to evaluate every 5 years. 5 years, this is an empiric time. And also in Munich, we will evaluate now in 2020 our master plan, which was founded in 2015. Should integrate future developments in the modern nursery and animal welfare. This is like looking in the stars. We know something which would change in future, but maybe not. And so we have to create a best and a worst case scenario. So we are well prepared for the future, because a master plan is, in the end, a financial experience. How to create a master plan for a zoo. Complete and detailed analysis of the actual state, like we've done yesterday. We have to look inside the zoo, also behind the scenes. We have to do a lot of interviews with the staff, with the director, with the management team. What are their mission? What are their vision? What are their aims and goals? What are their financial resources? And so on. Close collaboration between architect and zoo. That means really a close collaboration. It doesn't work if you are working here inside a bubble and outside the zoo is existing. You have really to work inside the zoo, because it is really a different world. Clear separation of duties and allocation of areas of responsibility. This is for every project an important thing. And these are things which are connecting, influencing together staff level and structures, a SWOT analysis. This comes from the consulting. If you are building a factory or an office or a hospital or apartment house, these are the same basis, the same, it's the same checklist to do it in a well and very organized way. And this is what different bricks of a master plan you have to put together. It does not mean that a restaurant and a shop and recreation is on the top. No, it's not the roof. It's just like a pyramid. But the base, the foundation is the master plan. On this, you have to put all these bricks, and there are many, many things, and there are many, many boring things. I know this: cost, budget, time. And as I know, when I worked as an architect in a construction company, cost, budget, and time, everybody leave the room because it wasn't creative. Everybody wants to paint nice pictures, to make a draft, and to talk about architecture. Okay, but this is the dream, and to make the dream reality, you have to learn about this: cost, budget, and time. Without money, a dream is a dream. This is an example of Hellerbrunn Zoo. This is 40 hectares. These are different areas, different enclosures. And first of all, if you want to create a master plan, you have to look very clear through the zoo, on the zoo, beside the zoo. What is the status quo of this? And so we built different areas, and red, that means this enclosure, you can really demolish it. It's old, it's an old standard, animals are there under bad conditions. We have to react in a very short time. Green.
You also still have that.
Sorry?
You also still have some buildings that are not according to the standards.
Yes, yes, yes. But this was in 2011 when we built this status quo. Nowadays it's much more better. We spent until now 40 million euros, so it's a lot of money. Blue is the area also where we've found out that this is a critical area and we have to react in a short time. And this is we call it the European part, the Mill Village, is completely finished and opened last year. This is the polar world. It's also finished in 2017. This is the elephant enclosure and the turtle enclosure and the elephant house. It's opened in 2016. And this is our new project. It's now starting at the end of this year. It's our new lions enclosure. And also we start this year, this is our bat cave. It's, this building is just existing, but it's God. So we have to demolish it and to build it new. And this is our rhino house. The building's okay, but it's too small for rhinos, for the Asian rhinos. These are the biggest one, not the African. They are also big, but the Asian one is no, 2 in this room, and that's enough. And this room is too small for them. So, and this house is like this room, yes, not more. So you see, we have to act. This orange one is okay, but we have to look to them because guidelines would change within the next 3 or 5 years. So we have got it on the plan. And green is, yes, we've done, everything is okay, also for the future, also safe for the next 10 or 20 years. So this is a plan, this is the foundation for a master plan. Then you know, okay, start here, 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 and then you build the rest. The next step was we create themes and building also modules, because you can't close the whole zoo and then say, okay, you will see us in 10 years when everything is finished. You have to run the zoo through this time of construction. And so we built different areas. This is Africa, America, Europe, Asia, polar world, world of apes, world of fish. Our aquarium is here. This is the administration area and the entrance area where the office is, where the animal hospital is, and so on. And there's a second entrance near the river Isar. It's here. There's a bridge, and there's a second entrance. And this is Australia and world of birds. This is the so-called GeoZoo principle. It was founded in Hellerbrunn in 1926 by my former director colleague, Mr. Heck. And then we built smaller parts, smaller modules, where we said, okay, we create, for example, here America, and inside America there are some enclosures which we have to build new, and these are smaller enclosures, and so we really know what we have to do. And you can compare it like a construction site. This is a construction site for the small apes, for the horses, for primates, and so on. The second thing, and this was really very difficult, to find a round trip for our visitors. It is nowadays an absolutely must for a visitor if he visiting a leisure park, a zoo, or something else. He wants to be sure that he will see everything in a very short time. Okay, you have to calm down because a zoo is not a shopping mall. And so we say also to our visitors, if you want to visit us, bring time with you. We are not like a shopping mall. Oh, no, the apes, the camels, the elephants, the giraffes, tick, 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 go home. No, that's not, because we've got a message, and if you want to hear the message, you have to bring time, and you have to listen to the message, and you have to, yes, to react, to active your 5 senses. And please do not walk with a mobile phone and just selfies, and that's it. That's really an advantage, a challenge to bring our visitors down to earth. Yeah. And so this is the, on this, maybe it's yellow or green or brown, I don't know this color, a mixture. These are the paths where all the visitors can walk through. And there are so-called smaller paths, they are adventure paths, where you can very close to the animals. Some animals you can touch, not tigers and lions and elephants and such things, but other animals, for example, penguins, but not every penguin. For example, the Humboldt penguin or the, yes, Humboldt penguin, yes. But they did not allow it because they said, oh, no, I don't want you, and then they go away. But you can walk through them. We have some goats, sheep, and some birds. You can really touch them. Also Shetland ponies and so on. These are domesticated animals, and they know that you are a visitor and want to touch them. It's good. But feeding is forbidden. Many zoos allowed to feed the animals. This is no good idea because to get bigger and bigger is also a problem for an animal, not only for us. So we are faced to this problem. How can we create a round trip for our visitors? And the biggest problem was because we have got 2 entrance areas. This is one, we call it the Flamingo entrance, and this is, we call it the Isa entrance. And if you have 2 entrances, it's impossible to create a round trip because you can enter here the zoo or here, and this is like a net. It doesn't work. And so we just have a look if the next picture works. No, okay. So we create different round trips within the zone. So this is the zone of Africa, and you can't see it because this is the wrong slide, sorry. You can walk through Africa, and then you leave Africa, and then you can walk through the world of birds. It's here. It's here, the entrance. You walk through, and then you go out, and then you can cross the river. There's a small river here. And you can walk to the animals, to the world of primates. This is a house here. You go inside, you go through there, and then you go to the aquarium, and you pass the aquarium. Then you're in Asia. Then you walk through the elephant enclosure. So there are many small round trips, and that makes a visit of the zoo very interesting because you want to come again because you can't see everything on one day. These are round about, I think, 8 kilometers of visitor path. 8 kilometers. That's a lot, and you can't do it in one day. And so that's also what we want. Please come again, and you have to pay twice. Sorry, because we have we have to earn money. Everything is expensive. You have to to pay the income for the staff and the the food for the animals, gas, oil, everything, power, and so on. So also I'm a manager of a zoo, and not only just come in and have a good day. Yes, they have a good day, but we have to pay also our bills.
When you look at this plan, you will find it for Cherkasy, I think, much more easy. Like, this is really complicated.
Yeah.
So we are lucky we have to solve much smaller problems in terms of routing.
Yes. Yes, as I remember Cherkasy, so this is really easy because it's the overview is perfect, and many paths are like a small round trip, and so there's no big problem for that. Yes, the second thing, or it was parallel to the first step, we have also to analyze the actual state of energy infrastructure, power, water, heating system, gas, media. And this I heard from the director yesterday. This is a big problem because he was heating all his different buildings by wood, by chimneys, and the smoke, and the animal just 2 meters near this chimney, and also I get so this is a bad condition for animals, also for the visitors. So this is one very important thing you have to also to plan, and that must be changed because that doesn't work. Climate change, wood burning, no good idea. So this is this was the status quo of Hellerbrunn when we started. Also, not different heating systems, and this is our new plan, and this part is completely finished. So we have got one heating system in this building, and this heating system is giving all the heat and hot water to all this building in this dark green. And there is a problem of, this is Hellerbrunn's special problem, because this is a small river. We call it our Mühlbach, the river Mühlbach. And this building are separate from the infrastructure of this part of the zoo. And so we have to do it here in a special way. But we do it with geothermal technique, because Hellerbrunn is standing on a very good natural foundation. Only, I think, 300 meters in the underground there is very hot water, and we can use this for the heating system. And this you can find in many cities. So you have also to check, is there a natural energy resource which you can use? Okay, yes. Yeah. Most of wild animals, they have a natural instinct, which is that if they smell smoke, then this means for the animal there's fire, and fire makes panic, because if the like in Australia, if the bushland is burning, then the animals want to escape, and therefore yesterday they smell the smoke, but they can't see the fire, and so they get into panic. And this is a dangerous situation, because if a giraffe, for example, gets into panic and starts to run, she wouldn't survive, because she's really like this. And there's just a stone on the path, and then she breaks down and she breaks her leg, and then you have to shoot there. There's no help for this. Also for horses, also for camels. If an animal breaks his leg, that's it. Primates, okay, you can do this really like a human, but all the other animals, no chance. Maybe some birds, okay, but it's very difficult. So you really have to protect the animals from smoke or something like that.
They can use smoke as a heat.
Sorry?
I said that they can use smoke as a heat, so they can put it in pipes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and use as a heat.
For example. This is one example. When we built these small modules, then we started to create, to plan this enclosure. In the master plan, the master plan is detailed but not too detailed. And this is it for the Humboldt penguins. In our master plan, it's just one example. There you can see the square meters of the water surface is around about 500 square meters. There's a small, the path is around about 800 square meters. The enclosure, it's 2,200 square meters. And there's a technical building with water filtration around about 202 square meters. And so you know really what you need to build this enclosure for penguins in this area of the zoo. And if you want to start to build it, then you have to give this to your architect and say, okay, these are the basics of our enclosure, and now let's start, be creative. But these are the minimum basics you have to follow.
So it's actually about where people stand and
Yeah.
look at animals and
Yeah.
where you create the background and where the house
Yes.
is going to.
Another example is this is for horses, Przewalski wild horses, and for cattle. We call it Ur. It's the our cattle are not produced by nature, they are produced by human, and they have, yes, domesticated. And this is the very first one, yes. There also there is some water here, round about 1,000 square meter, and this is the enclosure. We need 4,500 square meters. These numbers are based on the, as I showed you, on the best practice guidelines from VASA and EASA, and the guidelines of if you want to show wild animals. It depends on the country where you live. In Germany, it's they are very strict and a very, very high standard. Maybe in Ukraine, the standard is also high. So you have to read your laws about what is the minimum when I want to show elephants, giraffes, lions. This is in the guidelines, especially in your country.
What I also see is that there's always a kind of intermediate zone in between the karst where visitors are, like this dark green.
Yeah, yes. This is a no man's land. It's, yes, because it's also not so good to get in a direct contact to a Przewalski horse. They are maybe shy, but if they are under panic, they also can bite you.
Because like yesterday we saw that in Cherkasy you can get close very often to the animals.
And to tigers, that doesn't work. This is really, this is a high-risk, no-go area. It's really forbidden to get in touch to a tiger. There's also a second message behind this, and this message is a bad one, because if you show your visitor you can get in touch with a tiger, that means a tiger is like a small cat. I can cuddle in it, I can play it like with my cat at home. No, it's a wild, and it's a predator. And so I really was shocked when I saw this yesterday, when the director was just touching the tiger. And there was also like a ladder for small children to climb up to also to touch the tiger. Okay, if you want to lose your hand, you can do this. This is no way. And also, the visitor will really, they lose the respect for the creature. This is a wild animal, and you are at the end of the feeding chain in this case. There is a barrier between you and the tiger, and that's okay, that's good. And not to touch him and to show, yes, I can touch you, and you're behind this, and I'm safe. No, you are safe because this barrier exists, and that's it. And to touch then a wild animal, that sends a wrong message.
And also this intermediate zone is also the chance to create the landscape, because inside the enclosure it's really difficult to keep plants and stuff, because for that it's also too small and the area is destroyed. So like if you want to put the animals in their natural surrounding, you have to do it in the zone, isn't it like that?
Yeah. When we go through this presentation, I will show you also the 5 principles of modern zoo architecture. And so there are some things you can remember then at the end. This is a time schedule. This is for Hellerbrunn. Worst case scenario in 2045, we are finished. But I know then we will start again because time have changed, everything have changed. Maybe we have lost some animals, maybe the guidelines will rise up and we have to do anything new. So this we have already done. Now we are here. We are starting now with Africa, the lions, Australia, Asia, America, and world of apes, just renovating the technical equipment inside the building. The building is okay, but inside the heating system, the water system, and the air condition system and ventilation system, we have to renovate it. This is also a very important part of a master plan, and it is needed for building then the business plan. Animal needs, the animal as the tenant, not the visitor, really just the animal. And there is a challenge because the animal can't talk to you. So, no, I don't want this color, please create a bigger window, oh, the floor, I hate this. No chance. So you have really to ask the veterinarians, the zookeepers, zoo directors, the staff who is working all the day with the animals. They know their animals very well. And so these are the, we call the ambassador of the animals, and you have to talk to them. And by the time, if you will create and plan enclosures for animals, your experience will also rise up, and then you will become more secure in planning an enclosure. But if it is the first time, you really have to listen very close to this, to the staff of a zoo. Animal husbandry in human care. The size of the enclosure and stables depend on the species to be kept. Okay. So for an ant, you need not so much space, but for an elephant, you need really much space. Just as an example, the artificial climate condition must match the country of origin. This is also a challenge because if you, Cherkasy Zoo is, there is a continental climate, and they have also animals from abroad where there is no winter. So you have to protect them. For this house called Madagascar house, this is really a challenge, and they really do it okay. But the heating system also was an old-fashioned one. So, and the electricity system, it was also a dangerous thing. The enclosure stables must be adjusted by the animal requirements, weight, size, texture of the musculature. If there's a strong animal, elephant, for example, an elephant bull, an Asian elephant bull, not an African. African is much bigger than an Asian. An Asian elephant bull weighs up to between 5 and 6 tons. And the speed of an aggressive Asian elephant bull is up to 30 kilometers per hour. So you have to check this enclosure. An elephant bull, 6 tons, 30 kilometers an hour, and running against a door. You must fix this door. And there's only one try. There's no second chance. Yes, and also the enclosure stables may not provide injury hazards for the animals. This is also a thing architects really forget, because we think there are humans inside. No, there are animals inside. So locking systems, sockets, and so doesn't work inside an enclosure. It's very dangerous for animals. You have to build it very safe. Sometimes you can think about it to build a jail. That sounds crazy, but inside a jail, it's also very dangerous to have things where the prisoners can harm themselves. But these are animals. It's not a prison. The enclosure cells must be escape-proof and burglar-proof as well. An animal, in a very short time, an animal accepts that this is my area. There's my food, I feel safe, there's my partner, there's my offspring, that's my country, that's my room. I accept this, and outside in the habitat, it's the same. The biggest problem is also the visitor, because the visitor really wants to get really into direct contact to the animal, and maybe he can't see a barrier, and then he walked over this barrier or not existing barrier, and then it's a bad situation for the visitor, not for the animal. And so it's a much more bigger problem to build a burglar-proof, but not an escape-proof enclosure. The enclosure must not be related to provide stereotypes of animal suffering. For example, if an enclosure is too small and an animal feels boring inside, then they start to walk from left to right all the day, and this is not normal. So this is a sign for this animal is suffering. And so that means the enclosure, for example, is too small, or there's nothing inside, just a green floor and nothing else. No trees to climb, no bush to hide, no water pond to take a bath or to drink, nothing, no rocks, nothing. So that doesn't work. Retreat areas, this is also, I show you later on some examples, is also very important, because the animal must be in every time if there are too many visitors at the same time standing in front of an enclosure, the animal could accept this maybe for 1 or 1.5 hours, and then maybe stress. It's a stressful situation. And so the animal must escape, must retreat in a safe area, because, oh no, this is the 100th visitor of the day. I don't want to see him. I want to go back. I want to chill. And so you have to create also a retreat area. And this is also a minimum standard for every enclosure, to build retreat areas. Yes, species-specific shut-off ranges. If you want to separate animals, then you have to build this, like a paddock or something like that. feeding and drinking facilities. I'll show you some examples. Enclosure must be furnished, yes, because you have to avoid that, an animal is starting getting langweilig. Bored, yes, bored, yeah. And so we built the first area. I call it the area of conflict because it's the animal management. You have to manage the animals and the animal protection. This is really a conflict and you have to solve this. And this is a zoo. I don't want to see it anymore. There are zoos also in Europe and abroad, and I don't want to see animals behind, in cages, behind a grid, behind fences, looking like this. This is what you really call an animal person. And these animals are really suffering. Cats are suffering in a very special way. A cat is sleeping between 16 and 18 hours a day. And the cat, it's not interesting for a cat if it sleeps behind barriers or in a well-designed enclosure. But it's a suffer also for the visitor to see this, and also for the animal. And so we have to create new modern zoos. And as you remember, in Cherkasy Zoo, I want to, it's not that I like to bash the Cherkasy Zoo. Also in Hellerbrunn, this picture is from Hellerbrunn here. And there is inside a lynx. I think, no, he's outside, there's an outside enclosure. So this is one of our very old cages, and we have to demolish it in the next 2 years. This is... Yes, birds, yes, because it depends on the species of birds. Smaller birds, yes, but bigger one not. Not an eagle, it's so small. Yeah. This is our enclosure. This is from Hellerbrunn of the tiger. There's a water pond, and this is the visitor area. I'm standing here like a visitor, and this is our tiger. We've got two. You can't get into contact to this tiger. And this is also a cave where the tiger can retreat. But both of them, they like to lay on the top of this cave and want to observe everything. That's a normal thing, because cats always want to see what is surrounding them. Is there something to eat, maybe, a visitor, or not, or something else? And it's really, it's green, bush, trees, so they can hide, they can walk through. This, it is a very old enclosure. It's around about, I think, 40 years old, but it's okay. But we want to create a new one because it's not state of the art. These are also examples from Hellerbrunn. This is also a very old enclosure for Asian cattle, like this. And I want to show you, this was also a problem from yesterday, because of the ground. It's getting in a very fast way very muddy when there's a heavy rain, and we've got the same problem because the river Isar is very close to Hellerbrunn, and so we built different surfaces, different floors inside this enclosure. This is with a small piece of wood. This is sand, rocks. Also a rubber floor, And this is the entrance area of the stable. And they stand here around half an hour before the stable is open, and then they stand and stand and stand and wait and wait and wait. And so they demolish this floor, and so we decide to build here a rubber floor because it's very soft, because these animals live in the jungle and they need very soft floors, and so it's very good for their hooves. Another thing is a very solid surface for the camels and horses. Here the Przewalski horses, and there's also a feeding station, we call it, where the hay is, and it's protected from raining. And this surface is very, very strong, very dry. They need it, so it's absolutely, it's a no-go if there is mud or something like that. And so we create a drainage system under this floor, and it works very well. Also rocks and water for mountain animals. These are not artificial rocks, these are real rocks, and we build. This is a very, very old enclosure. It's built in the 60s last century, yes, around about 50 years old, 50 or 60 years old. And it works very well, and we want to hold this because it's perfect. It's one of the old and very perfect enclosures. For goats, yes, and such things. This is on the other side. We will demolish the stables because they're very old, but this is also perfect for them, so for climbing, for hiding, a cave, water, trees, shadow, sunny side, everything.
There will be a question of concrete rocks.
Yes, yes, yes. At the end, I showed you artificial rocks and artificial trees and how to build them. This is also rocks for high mountain animals, also a very old enclosure, and we want to hold this also. This is perfect. There's a water in the front, trees in the back, and this is very perfect because you can't see the stables because the stables are behind these rocks. And so this is really a natural scene. You really are concentrated to observe the animals, to see nature, to see the rocks where they live, and you are not disturbed by visitors or by buildings. So perfect. I think it's built in the 50s of this last century. This is grassland for maras and vicuñas. It's the part of South America. Also, you see, every time there is water, no fences, the only barrier is water. And so you have there is no distance and no barrier in front of your eyes, or if you want to take a photo, it looks very natural. And they walk here, and they also have some retreat areas you can hide behind this bush. There's a small sand island because they like to take a bath in the sand. Trees. In winter time it looks not so nice, I know. In summertime everything looks very nice. It's the other side of there's some South American ostrich from South America. Here he's sitting. And this is another example, prairie for bisons. If you remember the bisons in Cherkasy Zoo, doesn't work. This is, I don't want to say to the director because it would be unpolite, but a prairie is like this, very dry, very strong surface, water in the front, okay, some rocks, some shadow places, trees, and the grassland. This is a prairie, and this is where the animals live. Yes, yeah, it's also a no-go. They live in big groups, bisons. We have got on this picture, this is the youngest one. These are we've got, I think, 6 adults and 2 very young ones. Yes, and every year is offspring. They reproduce like rabbits. Yes. We send them to special other areas where natural areas are built back to nature because they were demolished by industrial things, and so they help us to bring nature back. This is an island. It's the pelican for pelicans here. You can go very close to them, but you can touch them, and you can smell them. Okay, it smells very strong, but this is life, and you can hear them, you can see them, you can observe them. They are the nest. Also, this is also very important to build shadow places, sunny places. This is very important. This is a climbing scaffolding for our small primates, for gibbons. They are now inside. This is also an island. There's water. They hate water, so they can't escape. And they just climb here, and they can change from one island to the next island to the next island. This is a very big enclosure. And the stables are here in the back. And now the plants are covering the facade, so my plan is I don't want to see the house. The house must be completely covered by plants because I want to show the animals. I want, the visitors want to see the animals and not a facade here. Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. No. We just throw some hay inside and then they build a nest. Yeah. And we've got the same pelicans, the pink pelicans, as in Cherkasy Zoo, and they can be outside every day a year, no problem. So I was wondering, because they were inside when I saw them yesterday. They like this cold weather. This is no problem for them. This is not Guantanamo. This is just one picture of a rear area, and it is really not a visitor area. It's a no visitor area. This area is just a clear functional area. Form follows function in this case, and it must be very easy to clean. It must be very safe, so you have a view. There is no animal inside, and it looks very brutal, but for the animals not, because it's like the sleeping room. They can go there if they want. They are not pressed. If they want, they go inside their sleeping room. This is for the apes. They build their nest and they sleep, or they want to sleep outside. It's their choice. So we offer them this opportunity, but it's not a must. It's a must if one of these animals maybe is injured or ill. Then we separate them inside this cage, and the doctor can give them medicaments and such things. This is inside a cage for the chimpanzees and for the gorillas. We put some wooden Holzwolle, I don't know. No, not hay. No, it's made from. Sorry. Yes, shredded wood, yes. Yeah. And just like a pillow for them, and they build it, and then they go there for sleeping, or maybe not. Yeah, maybe they take this and they go outside in their enclosure. I'll show you the inside, the in-house enclosure. It looks like outside. So it's their choice. Yeah. And we can clean it very well, because maybe there is an animal which is ill, so we have to disinfect and we have to work on a very high hygienic standard. Well, also a watering system, they can drink water, and here for climbing for the smaller one. This is for ungulates, these hoofed animals, yes, hay, some special food, water, heating system covered, so they can't hurt themselves. This is a paddock to separate animals if they are ill or something like that. It looks very old. It's from Hellebrunn. It's one of the old enclosure. We have to demolish it in the next year and to build it new. But it works, and the space is big enough. It's okay. It's also here a rubber floor, so it's very soft for them, and you can clean it very well. It's really like a we just use it if there is one animal ill, and you have to clean it very well then after medical things. Another thing is, I saw this also yesterday, you have to really use LED as a light standard. That's state of the art. You save energy. And now it's very cheap to use this LED. This is our aquarium where the sharks are inside. It's from the. It's not a visitor area. It's behind the scene, and so you also avoid heating up the room because the HQI lamps they are very hot. They use a lot of power, and the LED they are very. You really save a lot of money, and they did not produce any heat. That's very interesting for aquarium, but it's not so good for terrarium because therefore you need heat. So you have to change the system for different species.
Do they care? Because now there are light bulbs that emit sun.
Yes.
There are also yellow spectrum.
Yes, UV lamps, you need this for terrariums, for snakes, for turtles. Sorry? Yes, you need it for every animal. If the animal is round about more than half a year inside, then you have to use these special UV lamps, yes, because they need it to produce vitamin D. Yeah. This is this is the old-fashioned HQI lamp, very big, very hot, and this is the same size, just like this, and the light is much brighter, much stronger, and it looks very natural because you can steer the color of the light.
And is the algae result of the fact that the light is too warm?
Yes, this is too warm because it's an aquarium and the water is heating up. That's a problem for an aquarium. For a terrarium, it's okay, but for an aquarium, it's a no-go. So we changed it to these LEDs. Another thing, you can use it for different things. Broad UV spectrum, low heat resistance, and low energy consumption. That's really perfect. So logical requirements. I have to check. Ooh, I have to hurry on. Okay. Okay, good. Okay. Oh, some wake up. Okay. Animal management, veterinary medicine, science and research. These are the zoological requirements for enclosures and stables and box and everything you want to plan inside a zoo. Part 1, the enclosure stable must have breeding and rearing areas, separation box, breeding box, mother-child area. Most of the animals, if they have offspring, you have to separate them from the male because the male would kill his own children because he didn't know that he's his own children. He wants to reproduce all the time. Male, yeah. Same problem maybe. The enclosure stables need special facilities for veterinary supplies, fixing box, mobile crane, observation, shooting area, not to kill them, but to give them medicine by a pipe which you blow. So what? Blow dart, yes, by blow dart, yes. That's the perfect thing because there's no noise and ploop, oops, okay, Nothing happened. If you shoot with a narcotic gun, it makes a noise, and every animal is panic. So we use these narcotic darts, yes. Zookeeper must be able to enter the stable enclosure at any time in on very uncomplicated way, and to check every day, he must check every day defects and damage, because I don't like escape animals and hunting them through the zoo. The zookeeper must work in a safe and manageable enclosure, stable all the time. Architect must comply with the accident prevention regulations. This also depends on your country. I don't know, in Ukraine, I think there's also a very high standard to protect the staff for accidents and such things. Part 2, required facilities for science work must be in accordance with the holding guidelines and safety regulations, depends on Ukrainian safety regulations. Integration of observation systems and video observation. This is very important, so you have to plan where is the camera. The camera is, it's not a good idea if the animal can touch this. Also, the visitor can't, it's not allowed to touch them, but you have to observe the animals by night. Maybe the offspring is not in a good condition, and the mother is very aggressive if there's an offspring beside her. And so these are very difficult situations where you can't enter a stable, for example, and you have to look inside. Well, what can you do? You use just video system. Warning facilities, fire alarm system, burglar alarm system. Many animals are very expensive on the black market. For example, for one horn of an African rhino on the black market, it's today is the price round about $150,000 for one horn. It's you have to pay more than for gold. And in France, last year or the year before, they killed 2 rhinos inside a zoo, and they cut the horn, and the animals were dead. So this is also a problem. Easy and control system for building services, separate supply and disposal units, feed preparation rooms, store area, resting area for the staff.
Do you need major refrigeration areas?
Yes, in the feeding department, yes. And then a smaller one in the enclosure, near the enclosures, yeah, for meat, vegetables, and that's it. And fish.
Is it functioning like in the kitchen of the restaurant?
Yes. Not like a kitchen but like a kitchen of a hotel. It's very big. It's the same equipment like in a big hotel. Yeah.
It's centralized.
Yes, it's centralized. Yeah. Some zoos are working not in a centralized feeding department, but we do, because you save money, and you the high hygienic standard is better controlled than a centralized feeding department. If you can't control it if everybody is handling with the food. But it's state of the art to centralize it. Administrative areas, break room for the staff, and now our area of conflict. And next thing is intern and extern zoo guidelines. This is the next challenge we have to fulfill if you want to create, to plan an enclosure or a master plan. Expectation of our visitors. First we saw what our visitors think about the zoo, and now they have some expectations. And now there are 4 columns, original, by Heini Hediger. And I allowed by myself to build this new, because I told you yesterday, Heine Hediger said, when he was asked by other people, biologists, veterinarians, visitors, can you tell me what is the dangerous animal in a zoo? And what he said, it's the architect. It's really. Because in the beginning of the modern zoo times, many architects built a lot of horrible enclosures and buildings. And so he had to handle with these problems, and so that was the reason why he said this. And, but he also said very clever things about 4 columns of a modern zoo, and then said, okay, I'm an architect and have to fight against this. and I will build it now new. We are in the 21st century, and the first column is, and this is it, also for the next 100 years at least, conservation. We have to protect animals from extinction by conservation, only by conservation. To rebuild the habitat outside, this is a big goal and a big challenge. And we did not know if we are fast enough to build it. And so we have to save the animals from extinction. The next is science. We have to learn a lot about and from the animals. And the third is education. We have to talk about it. Not in this circle, we have to talk with our visitors. And so education is one of the most important things if you are building an enclosure or an animal house or something like that. You have really to look through. You are a visitor, you're going inside a house, you're walking outside of an enclosure, you're observing the animal, and you want to know why. Why is this animal here? Why is this animal endangered? What can I do? And this must be part of the story. Not only to see, oh, an elephant, big one, yeah, okay, next line, tick. No, that's not our goal. Our goal is to educate our visitors and to show them that we have got a big problem nowadays. It's not only climate change, it's also extinction of species. 1 million of species will gone in the next year, and many millions are lost. Where's the 4th column of Heine Hediger? I built this house new, and it's not a column, it's not a foundation. It's also not the roof. It's it's between the roof. It's I forgot this. It's the I wrote it down, the English. It's like a bracket. It's like a bracket. A connection. Yes. Yeah. Yes, perfect, yes. Experience of nature, leisure activities, emotions. If you use it like a bracket, then it works. Then you will understand, you will see, and you want to learn. If you use this not as a bracket, this is too complicated, this is shocking, and this is boring. And this is the roof. Under the zoos and aquariums, we can do this. So I hope Heine Hediger no, an architect is not the enemy. Architect is the best buddy. So this is very important, but it's not a column, it's a bracket.
I have a question about the science part. I can imagine that you can study animals
Both. Yes. An animal under human control, the behavior of this animal is different from a wild animal outside, that's clear. But many behaviors are the same, and you can explain it. And so it's very important to present the animal, I'll show you later, behavioral enrichment, so that the behavior of the animal is not influenced by artificial things. They have to walk and feed and reproduce in a very natural way. And this is very difficult, and you can only solve this problem if you talk to the vets, to the curators, to the biologists. They can tell you what the tenant wants. All enclosures, now this expectation of visitors is also a part of your planning background. All enclosures are designed, laid out in such a way that the animals are easy to observe by the visitors. But be careful. Easy means not 360-degree observing, as in Cherkasy Zoo in the very new area one. The idea was okay, but the result is not perfect for these animals. I'll show you why. Design aesthetic, natural and generous enclosures. If the visitor would say, wow, this is a wide grassland and the bisons on it, this fits, this is okay. So the visitor feels good, the animal also. Note, easy to reach enclosure, stables, handicapped people, old people, young people, children, they also want to see everything. Enable an emotional closeness of the animal to the visitor. Some animals you can touch, most of them not. Enable animal contact, yes, and the visitor. Support discovernesses and curiosity, because that makes an emotional bubble. Provide information about the animal, background information about conservation and threat. Show a holistic theming, not like a stage, not like Disneyland with animals. This is not the goal, but it must be that you're feeling that maybe this could be Africa, yes, I understand. Not, oh, this is Africa in Cherkasy, no. Cherkasy is in Ukraine, not in Africa. But there must be some things that the contact is much more easier for you to understand why this animal in its natural habitat is endangered. Cause a feeling of exclusive contemplation and observation. Oh, I'm a scientific, I want to observe this animal and I want to show it to my children. Be quiet, we have to listen to this animal. This makes an exciting moment. Create free space for relaxed and undisturbed animal observation. Many people want to make a photo, and so they have to wait, and this is also very interesting for them. And now our areas of conflict are completed. Now we have the visitor expectations. And this all we have to handle when we want to create enclosure state-of-the-art. Oops, what's going on? Okay, 5 elemental design principles of a species-appropriate zoo architecture. There are 5. I started with 10 and I reduce it to 5 because the other 5, this is maybe today it's okay, but tomorrow maybe not. But these 5, I think so, that's sure for the next 25 years, hopefully. And this is one very important thing for both animals and visitors. And if you remember yesterday, the new wolf and bear enclosure, sponsored by Roshen. What's the difference between this and the animal, the enclosure from yesterday. What did I mean when I say avoiding cross-viewing? That's perfect, because it is behavioral enrichment. Here's the visitor, and you can look inside, and here's the visitor. This is the enclosure. And one visitor can't see another visitor. That's perfect for you because you're focused on the animal. You just see the animal. You can concentrate on the animal. You can observe this animal. You build a special contact to this because you are not disturbed. And on the other side, the animal inside can also hide away, can retreat, and can here in this neutral area can't be observed by any visitor. Because, oh no, too much visitors today, I want to go back. And so this is also interesting for the animal, that there is a safe background for me. There are no visitors. Many animals, not many, most of the animals need this. And the enclosure yesterday of the wolves, you can, especially, it was just topped by the enclosure of the bisons. You can walk 360-degree round, complete enclosure, and from the top. There's no escape room, there's no retreat area for this animal. For a bison, this animal wants to escape if there is a dangerous situation, but where can I escape? Oops, everywhere are visitors. And this is a very stressful situation for an animal, and this animal are suffering. Maybe we saw them yesterday, very silent animals standing in the corner, but this is not normal, because there's no chance for escaping, so they just like this, and you have to avoid this. Number 2. This is this. Sorry, it's maybe you recognize it's Antwerp Zoo. It's the enclosure for the small red panda. You can see it here on the top of the tree. And this is, I stand here on the path, visitor path, and it's a 360-degree path. And it's going also up. It's similar to the enclosure we saw yesterday. Never build enclosures like this. This is not state-of-the-art. This is really hard-work animal suffering in perfection, yes. Now from the other side, I was here, and now I'm standing here. No chance for this very shy animal. Forget this. Then you can present a new car, for example, or something like that. If you want to sell something, that's perfect, because it's a stage, or a theater, maybe, yes, but not for animals. Second, interesting, right observation perspectives and guarantee of retreat area. This is a plan I painted years ago for the Gondwanaland Tropic Hall in Leipzig Zoo when I worked there. And we built an enclosure, and in this enclosure there were different animals, land-living animals, underwater living animals, birds, reptiles, everything. And we want to show them all to the visitors, but in a very different and emotional way. So we created different paths. The first path is a so-called top of the roof path, but you did not feel like on the roof, because this is it's an upper floor, and you can look on the water a little bit in this shelf, grass, high grass, shelf. Reeds, yes, reeds, yes, but not inside. Then you walk through this back and you go downstairs, and now you are underwater. You can look underwater. You can see the fish, the turtles, and you can look over the water, on the water level. And then you leave this enclosure, you walk, and you forget this enclosure, because just 10 minutes later, you came on the other side of the same enclosure. And I ask every visitor, how many enclosures are inside this tropic hall? And you say, around about 40. So no, 10. This is just, you can send them through pass and they really forget what they saw 5 minutes ago, but it's the same enclosure. And now they see all these land-living animals. And they forgot that it's the same enclosure. And the retreat area is here. So maybe there's a time where you can't see any animals, but it's okay. The animal is the host. And the animal said, okay, today 100 visitors, it's enough for me. I want to escape. This is my retreat area. You can't see it from here, and from here. No animals inside. We explain it to the visitor. There are animals inside, but they want to see you. Sorry. Next day. Please come next day. Next ticket. No, sorry. No, because this is very dense, yes. Yeah. No, this visitor can't see this visitor. This is just a cut through this enclosure. There are a lot of plants and trees. Yes, that's possible, yes.
Okay, so we should avoid cross-viewing for the...
No, that's a positive thing.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah. All the animals are very clever. They know. We have also an enclosure where there is a polar fox and the polar rabbit. And it's in one and the same enclosure. And there is a path, it's running through the enclosure, and you walk through this path, and you see on the right the polar fox, and on the left the polar rabbit. And under the path there is a grid completely covered, and they see each other when they are on the top, and they learned in a very short way, okay, I'm the rabbit, and this is the predator. Nothing happened, I can chill. It takes just 2 days that the rabbit notice, fox, hello, no chance because there is a path between. So, but they interact, but in a very chilly way. Yeah, yes. If I want to cover buildings or something artificial, which I don't want to show, I want to focus the visitor on the animal for nature, for nothing else. No visitor, no buildings, no technical equipment, nothing. The next is number 3, animal observation at eye level. That means respect for the creature. If you look on an animal, because the animal is down, maybe this, in the first moment, it's interesting, but in the back of your brain, there's something working, like I'm on the top and he's nothing, he's down, he's under me. I can press him or something like that. And this is also a bad message. We have to bring all our animals at eye level, and to see an animal from eye to eye, then respect is creating, and then you know, Oh gosh, there's a glass. Perfect. Don't negotiate with a gorilla. You will lose, yeah?
In Rotterdam, they have it as a giraffe enclosure, but you have a higher pass,
Yeah.
so it can be at eye level really with the giraffe. So
Yes, that's okay. That's also, we have one, because it's very interesting to get into contact with you. This is Sonja. This is in Hellerbrunn. This is Sonja, and she knows me very well, and there's just one glass. And when I visit her, she came very close to me, and we interact, high five. She's very smart. She looks like, but she looks every time. She's very chilled. Yes. Yes, that's correct. Yeah, yeah. So it's not good to, even primates, to look them like this in the eyes. You have to just look and back, hand, look back, and that's okay.
Is it not conflicting with the eye level view that you're...
We explain it to our visitors. It's also forbidden to use flashlights and such things. By signs, how to communicate with our relevance.
Do they feel intimidated or pressured?
No, it's also very interesting for our gorillas, because sometimes I really ask myself, who's observing who? The gorilla, the visitor, or the visitor, the gorilla? And they know each other, because this is not a new situation for our gorillas. Yeah. This is also in Hellerbrunn, or polar bear enclosure. It's very interesting for children to get so close into contact, to see polar bears swimming underwater, playing in the water. This is an emotional moment for this girl, and I think she recognizes, wow, what an animal, what he's doing. I want to save this planet. I go to Fridays for Future, for example. Oh, this aquarium. Also, this is also a situation where you can get not into contact, but very close to enjoy an underwater world. If you are not a diver, you can't do it. So you have to create it like you're diving. This is an emotional moment, and you feel like a fish, and then you understand why fish are living like they live. And so this is yeah, perfect. Number 4, immersion principle. Visit the animals, but not touching the animals if they are very wild animals. This is the path. Some plants, some rocks, a glass, barrier, fences, and the enclosure. This is what you saw yesterday. You can do this with simple things to an experience that you feel that you are within the enclosure. You are maybe directly by the animal, just like this. It's the same situation, just another plants. The rocks are on the other side. There's a small river under the glass that works, and you have to slow down because it's like a bottleneck. Now it's, oh, okay, I must slow down, and then I look, hey, what's going up here? Or animals, and then I rest, I observe, and I forgot that I'm on a path because it's the same floor, the same plants, inside, outside, and only this glass is protecting me, nothing else. And so you really feel like a guest by the animals. Some examples. Now a positive example of Antwerp Zoo. They made it very clever. This is a very old building, and there are reptiles, snakes inside, and this is perfect here. So inside is outside. Okay, the floor is not perfect. They must change it like this, like with concrete. You can also build it like here, but it's perfect for children. They can climb here on this, and they can look inside. It's perfect. It's not expensive, it's just designing. Another example, like this. It's inside a house, a terrarium house. There are also snakes and reptiles. For children, they can go upstairs. There's a glass, be careful, boop, glass. When I saw a young child going up, bong, because he saw the glass, the window. And also these pillars are covered in the same structure, so it looks like an old building, an old temple. It's kind of stage, okay, but it's not too much. And you are interested in, where is this damn snake? I can't see it. Where is it? So you want to find the animals. Yeah? This is, I built it in Zoo Leipzig. It's the Gondwana Tropic Hall. There is a 3-meter Sunda gavial. It's a crocodile here. And this was, I take this photo after finishing, and the next day the visitors, they visited the first time, and I stand here and I observe the visitors, how did they get into contact with this animal. And now the first visitor came and looked on the left, stood back because he didn't saw this glass. He saw only this big crocodile lying on the floor. The next visitor was a very tough guy. He went, oh, crocodile, he ran banging against the window. And so this happened 3 times. And so I have, I painted some leaves on the glass to protect the visitors to go inside this enclosure. But this is an emotional moment for the visitors. So, oh, what's that? And then they go there, and then they want to observe. And on the side you can see there's a sign who's explaining and teaching about these animals. This is a small cave for children. Also some adults go inside. It's very interesting. You can go inside, and there's also glass, and you're very close to the animals. And this is also, this is in Leipzig, this is the enclosure for hyenas. In front and in the back, there are giraffes and antelopes, so predator and the others at the same spot, but separated by a dry graben? Dry pit, by a dry pit, yes. And also this is for some visitors a challenge not to walk through, because it's just a glass. Other examples, this is inside a cave. There is a cat from South America, and you walk there and you see there, and there's also water floating. You did not imagine this window, this glass, because it's in such a shape there is no reflecting, and so you really think I can go there. Also, this is used from this draft you saw before. You can see underwater, over the water. There's a green area. This is also an area where you can go really close to the animals. And this is also a cave. It's the same here on the other side. This is all artificial rocks, hand designed. So, and number 5, the last principle is invisible but safe barrier. some examples. You have to use railing because many visitors are so stupid. They did not see the dangerous situation that I want to get into contact with a lion. Okay, let's do it. Repellent planting, so harming plants. If you get into contact, ouch, okay, I don't want to go through these plants. E-wire, deflectors. If the animal jumps into the water, wants to climb out, there's a deflector. Jump obstacles, and egress, for example, here, to avoid that he can jump from here to here. These are just some examples. I'll show you another examples. Egress is electric. It's under power. Okay. Yes, it harms, but not kills. It doesn't kill, but it harms. It's like you see it on outside on cattle farms. They use it. Yes, you can touch it as a human. That's all. I show you pictures. Security and barriers. You have to know how high and how wide an animal can jump or can climb. All these facts you have to ask the curators, the vets, and the animal keepers. You didn't know it, you can't know it, you can't read it in books, there's nothing inside, so you have really to ask the zoo staff. This is a net, because this is a cat who also can climb on trees, so you have to cover it by a net. A rhino is just separate by a dry pond like this. Maybe this is just around about 1.5 meters, that's enough. Antelopes, just water, because they hate water, they drink water, but they didn't go inside the water, and so on. These are designed and very good-looking barriers, again, for visitors, also for animals. Natural material, it looks very natural. It's Hanover, zoo in Hanover.
Clearly man-made, right? Like, so it's a natural material.
Yeah.
Bamboo,
yeah.
like almost an exoticized fashion, latch. So is that really different from, like, I understand the artificial rocks you try to really make it like a trick, right? You think you're in nature, but with that you don't think you're in, you still see it as man-made. So what's the difference between that and like really a man-made?
Yes. Other examples, they look more natural, like this. Behind this, there is a fence, also here. It's a clear situation that these animals are under protection, under care of human. And so it's, for me, not a problem to show that these barriers are also handmade, but then with natural materials. Also, you can tell here a story like this is an African village where African natives live, and they want to protect their small village because of the lions, and they work with these materials. And so this is also a kind of story to tell something about the culture of the people who live with the animals, with the wild animals, in Africa, in Asia, in South America. So this maybe is a part of a story. And in the end, it looks really better than a fence made from steel. This is too brutal for me. In some cases, I use this also, but I think twice for that. This is bamboo. It looks like bamboo, but it's made from steel. These are steel pipes, and they are painted, and it looks perfect. And this is a photo from, all these photos are from Animal Kingdom in Florida, steered by Disneyland. Some details are very clever, and in many, many cases they absolutely overpace it, because it looks really like Disneyland with animals. But this is very clever. It looks like a natural thing. It's very stable, and it's okay, why not? So therefore I photograph some details. I think that's a good idea. Steel, yes.
Because if you plant the real one, it's a disaster. The bamboo reproduces faster than rabbits. You don't invade the other enclosures within several months. So you really could not use the growing bamboo.
This is another thing, we call it piano wire. This is a very thin steel cable under in a very strong frame, and it's a great idea, because if you want to photograph it, now I focused on this wire, but you can focus also on the background, and so you can see the animal perfect, and you didn't see these thin steel cables. It's a perfect thing for birds. They see it very clear, but the visitor can't imagine it, can't see it.
And is there a wire?
Yes, there's a net. There's a net on the top. Another thing is also to use a net, maybe for cats who can climb. Nets, this is not a good thing one, this is a better one. There are different types of nets. There are Karl Stahl, this is a producer, Jakob net. Very expensive, because it's made from steel. And these brackets are very small, it's okay. These brackets are too big, so this is like a grid. Or something like that. You can't see it because the plants are growing. There's also the same here. Maybe you can see here, it's no, yes. This is also metal and painted and looks like shelf. And there's a electric wire. So this is really, you can't see the barrier. This is electric grass, e-grass. Yeah, you can see. It looks like this. This is a technical draft. This is fiber. And this is from metal, like a wire, draht, I don't know. Yes, wires. And connected to each other, and it works. Because this is in Leipzig, this is bamboo, and you have to protect the bamboo for the elephant, because they like bamboo. Bamboo is like chocolate for them. Oh, bamboo. All the time. And so we plant some e-grass surrounding this bamboo island, and then the bamboo gets protected. And it looks natural. Yeah?
Question. So, if they plant bamboo and want to protect it from the elements, why they plant bamboo?
They eat everything, also other plants.
So why they put their plants?
Yes, because behind this, the elephant can hide. Behind this, there's a retreat area.
But maybe they could design another shelter without like plants.
It depends on you.
To use this e-grass elements, because I think it's not like
Our visitors did not see these egrets. You can't see it. No. Yes, they feel it, and they know it, and then they no contact. Yeah. No, not only once. Most, maybe 80% of the animals, they can feel electricity at a distance. Especially elephants with a shrunk, they check this. Oh, this is under power. No good idea. So no animal was, okay, this is harming me.
But isn't it more just a provocative that you put something you know the elephant wants to eat and then arrange it?
No. I know this. Some visitors also ask me, is this a frustrating moment for the elephants? No, because they are not suffering, because they have got enough to eat. They want just to destroy this, because, oh, bamboo, let's play with it. And I can do this every week, and this is too expensive.
So we touched upon a very important question. So how do we provide playful?
So
So we do need to provide something for them to play with.
yes, we have to provide. Yeah. Yeah. We have. Even in nature, there are some areas where plants or something like that is growing and they can't reach it because it's too high, it's too far away, there's water between. So that's a normal situation. And we want to create a green island to protect the elephants by these 360-degree observing, so they can go behind this and then they are safe.
Is it expensive?
Nowadays, no. When 10 years ago it was very expensive because it was handmade, and now it's affordable. Yes. Here, Kranzstöber. Yes. Yeah. There's also electric grass. You must really go very close to see this. Here you can't see it. There is one. Also very small one here. Here is one to protect the plants. Yeah, it looks like a desert. No plants, nothing inside. So it's also, in the end, it's negative for the animals because without plants, without trees, no shadow, nothing. So we have to protect the plants. Yeah. We have to plant again and again and again. And it's a question of money, a question of time. And, yeah. So there are also, you can see here this the fiber, the plastic thing, and then this is here. You can't see it like this. And so we protect this bamboo. This is a pond for the elephants. Yes, there's snow and they're they're very clever. Also protecting trees. You want, it's no good idea that every chimpanzee can climb on every tree because then he can escape. So you can do it with lianas, with e-lianas. This is made from silicon and rubber and some small electric wires, so the tree can breathe and can walk, yeah, and the tree is protected and grow. Yes, also here. This is our enclosure for chimpanzees, and they did it's not allowed to climb on this tree because they would kill this tree. And but this tree is necessary because it's a shadow place here in summer. Also to protect artificial rock, not to climb on the rock. You can put it here. I think here's something. It's really invisible. Only the zookeepers know it, and the animals. As a second barrier, we want to protect the rocks, not to climb on the rock. So, yeah.
How do you, is there any, do you register where these things are? Because they're, I mean, they're pretty much everywhere. Can you, are there plans, or is it, can you control that still? Or is it, because there are so many spots?
No, they're under control. Okay. And we have to check it every day with a special, it's like this, and you touch this wire and it's teet, okay, it's under power. Yes, we have to check it every day. That's a must. Oh, it's used outside in the where cows are standing on the grassland. It's the same. So you can touch it. It ups and that's it. That's not and you're dead. No. Yeah.
That's a separate.
No, we offer them trees to eat and bring them every week a new one inside the enclosure. But we have to yes, as a shadow place and really to design a natural habitat, and we need trees inside this habitat. Yeah. And then therefore we have to protect the trees. Just some examples. This is an example when you are creating an enclosure, stables and boxes. Maybe this is the animal and this is the zookeeper, and he wants to go inside, and the animal box is this, and the animal escaped. Then there must be a zone between. So if the animal escaped, it's not allowed that then it's completely outside. There must be an area between this. And if you want to enter this area, you have to look and be safe that there is no animal inside, and there must be 2 doors. So this is a security thing. I think it's the same as in Ukraine. It's a worldwide standard for very dangerous animals. You did not need it for cows or something like that, forget it, but lions, tigers, elephants, and so on. Yeah.
And you want this to be invisible, right? So the back of the house has to be invisible.
For the visitors, yes. Because I don't want to show them a stable. That's not interesting. We made some behind-the-scenes trips, but then they are guided with zookeepers, and then we explain how do our animals live behind the scenes. But this is a special thing. Also, areas. This is a between area. This is the enclosure, and it's not allowed to enter the enclosure directly because you have to Schleuse, I don't know the name. Gate. So? Gate, yes. Between gate, yes. Also for the small one, I didn't saw it yesterday, the terrarium house of Cherkasy Zoo. If you handle with snakes, and so you have also a very small gate. Yeah. How did they clean the terrarium? I don't know. Oops, snake. So you can separate one snake from another. This is a terrarium. just some impressions. Slide system. This is just to show you that many, many details must be planned in a very clever way. If the slide is going down and separates one box from another, you have to take care that, for example, a bear or a primate did not lift up the slide. And so this is a system, a second and a third system, a triple closure system, so it's blocked by two security systems. Also, at least two locking systems, and this is the personal locking system of every zookeeper. So when he locked this, nobody else can open this. And this is very needful, important, because, for example, he's working inside the cage, and so he must be sure that not a colleague comes and opened the slide and then he's got a problem. And so this is his private security system, and it works very well. It's very cheap. It's also something for Cherkasy Zoo. I didn't saw this. Yeah, yeah. So this also means every time two doors, one door with a window to look inside. When you open the door, then there must be a second door that provides wild animals. Animal safety, lamps, materials in zoo, just some important things, some examples. This is original bamboo. You can use this as a design element, for example, to design paths. This is not for elder people or for wheelchair people, wheelchair people, but maybe for children. It's an adventure trip. You can also build some huts, also telling a story. This is a part of Asia, and so you build it like feeling in Asia, not too much. So it's part of the story. This is an African hut. You can go inside, and inside everything is about the culture of the African natives. How did they live with wild animals? They protect their animals. So to tell their story, and this is also very interesting. And you can tell this in a typical African hut. It's made from concrete. It looks like this is shell, like not grass, but yeah.
Other examples for zoos that deal in a different way with this surroundings of the animals, like this is really like also because your zoo is so big and you really can create different worlds and you really like get into it. But for Cherkasy, I get the feeling that it's going to be difficult to create really an Africa world. So are there other examples of zoos you can think of they do it in a different way? More, or maybe they just say we don't want to do it like this.
No, these are examples if you have got enough space. Yes. It's okay. But you can also do it in a smaller variety. A good example, yesterday we saw this Madagascar, very small, and it was very close, and you feel like this is another part of the zoo, and so it's okay. If you've got much more space, then you can build African hearts and so on.
Yeah.
So. Other paths, and also this is artificial rocks, real rocks, and in combination it looks okay. Also you use wood as a wall. This also you can use in a small zoo. Maybe behind this there is a building, a feeding station or something that you want to show it. Then you build this and it looks more natural. This is also something for smaller zoos want to pass. So you like the new enclosure, it was built with concrete, okay, but you also can do it with natural materials. Plants, just some impressions. If you are using plants inside a house, it's really useful to build an underfloor watering system. So the plants are every time in a good condition or not suffering. You need, if the plants are very close to each other, supporting plant lighting, UV light, yes. First this, and if you use it, then just 3 months later, it grows.
For what purposes are you like to highlight the certain landscape elements? Or
No, just to support the plants for growing. They need a UV light, and when they are inside a house, there is no natural sunlight, and you can produce it with artificial light, so that the plants can grow and that they are healthy. This is Arnhem. This is the tropical, the desert. This is all artificial rocks and plants. It looks really, it looks really perfect. This is an old-fashioned greenhouse. I think it was in Berlin. Behavioral enrichment. This is a very interesting thing. A zoo space is a limited space, and what animals are suffering animals. So we have to give them the opportunity that they can play, that they can interact, and they have something to do. And these are some examples. Okay, this is something the zookeepers give them the polar bear. This is not only a ball. It's inside. There are small feeding pellets, and there is just one small hole in this plastic bowl, and he has to do like this to pick it out and hope that something is falling out. So this is really day work. For elephants, like this, filled with hay. So they have to pick it out.
Is that a profession? Design of the toys?
Yes. Yeah. This was made by our gardeners. They built here rocks, and this is a water system pipe made from concrete. We use this, and we close it on both sides with this metal door, and the zookeeper can open it and can put inside hay or something like this, and the elephant must go like this and touch, is there something inside or not. Not every day is there something, you know, maybe 1 week nothing, the next week is there. And so they have to walk through and to check it and to, this is working. Also, this is built by special companies. They are specialists in these big balls. This is where the feet came out or in. Also for the very small one, but it's something for the zookeepers. Giraffes, also here on the top of the tree. So you have to build trees where you can fix such systems that a giraffe and other big animals can have their. This is an old water can. How long is the tongue of a giraffe? How long? 60 centimeters. Yes, 60 centimeters. Also for the primates. And for this one, this is Okanda. He's a very clever young boy. We create special behavioral enrichment. These are tennis balls and different layers, and there are small Schlitze? Openings, yes, and they have to build tools to catch the food inside. And for hours they sit there and they think, I take this tool or maybe the next, and this is really, even for us, it is a challenge. And every day it is completely new, filled by the zookeepers. So you have also to build this construction where you can fix these behavioral enrichment things. There sometimes they can see what inside, and sometimes they can't see, it's covered. So this is for the high professional gorillas. In summertime, ice with fruits. And also this is important things you have also to create. This is in the indoor of our primate house, where they can sleep or they can go back. Here, this is the entrance to these boxes you saw before. But most of the time, they are inside the house, they build their bed and they sleep there. A lot of things for playing and fruits, ice, so cold, what can I do? And they're so clever, then they pack it into the sun and just wait. Also for the cutter. And the lions playing football. This is Max and Benny. They are brothers. Lynx. Rhino. It's difficult because it's so strong, so just something to eat and to hide the food, and so they have to look, and that's it. And, coat baboon. This is frozen ice with fruits, and he picked 2 or 3 and then go ahead. Because he's not the only one, there are 34 of him, and everybody's first come, first serve. Also for the tigers. I didn't see anything inside the tiger enclosure yesterday. And so this is, we also build like a cable car. The tiger jump on it and then goes up. It's a cat. Yes, it's like, it's also, they are playing like small cats, but don't touch them. Also this, for tigers, it's very interesting that they have a place on the top to observe everything. They want to see everything, because then they are safe. And if it's raining, then they go under this roof. And if they want to have party, then this is a cable car, then jump on this, and it makes gets like that. This is a water drinking system for the elephants with a trunk inside, fresh water, everything fresh and clear. Enrichment, maybe. I don't know what's this, but she did it. So, artificial rocks and trees and enclosures, just how it is built. There is a metal grid, steel rods, and galvanized grid, the rough structure. It's all handmade. It's expensive, okay, but it looks then, if it's very, then it looks very natural. Then clad with concrete. This is inside, the camera inside, and outside with concrete, colored. The concrete is colored with a basic color, and then fine modeling by artists. This is really a high, this is, yes, only artists can do this. Looks like that. And then finishing. The colors on this beamer is not so, it looks artificial, but it looks, in the first week it looks, oh, okay, it's new, but half a year later, dust and plants and something else covered, and then it looks really fantastic. Like this. This is an elephant enclosure. Also realistic painting. This is a problem most zoos are faced. There are houses behind the scene, and what can we do? And okay, then you can build just a wall, no plants, because that doesn't work. But then you made not just a concrete wall, you can also tell a story in brackets. So it looks, you can go through, but it's just painting. And so it's not so, it's okay, it's a connection to the city, as you ask me, but not so in a hard way. This is also artificial rock, in perfect, painted, fine modeled. This is the entrance area of the tropic hall. This is also Burgers Zoo, the desert, also artificial rocks. This is artificial rock, also in Orlando. No, this is a Komodo dragon. Hmm. It looks very, this is one of really a fantastic enclosure. This is San Diego Zoo. All artificial, combined with wood, with natural rock. So this is perfect. And this is also something for a very small zoo, because behind this there is There are buildings and nothing nice to show. From here to here, it's round about, I think, 10 meters, nothing more. Artificial trees, just some examples. Oh, this is animal kingdom. It's a baobab. It's artificial, but it's perfect. The elephants. This is Singapore Zoo. This is an artificial tree, and inside there are insects, so you can tell a story. What is inside a tree? Then it is interesting for children. There is a reptile here. This is also an artificial tree, perfect, painted. And now we came close to the end. Hurry on. Renovation of old enclosures, maybe as an example for what you want to do. This was an enclosure in Hellerbrunn when I started working, and most of the staff of the authority, they said, no, Mr. Baban, we know you're an architect, but artificial rocks, no, we don't like this because that's too much. And it's too expensive. I said, no, give me just 60,000 euro. Okay, 60,000 is not a but. And give me 4 weeks. And I will change this enclosure where apes are inside there. There's one ape. And this is, what is this? Is this a playground for children? No, it's an enclosure for animals. And so 6 weeks later, boop. It's an enclosure. We have to build a barrier because most of the visitors now walk to this enclosure directly, and we build artificial trees, artificial rocks, a waterfall, and I know there is a building, and so I show this building behind, but not at first. And most of the people, they didn't recognize that there is a building because they are focused on the story here, on the plants. No. This is before, and from the same point, now. Okay, you can see it's a building, but that's the second part. The first part is, where's the animal? I want to find it. Retreat area, artificial trees. Here is the entrance to the box. You can't see it. Natural floor, plants inside and outside. So there is no barrier, no optical barrier. This is inside, where the monkey is inside. And now it's like that. So it's a natural habitat for them.
From your practice, what is like the cheapest way to find more nature materials? So you like find real trees to plant there, or to create it like in an artificial way?
It depends on the situation. For me, it's I play with both. I take natural material and combine it with artificial material. And if you do it in a clever way, you can see the difference. This is inside the cage. And now it's like this, and there's a waterfall. And this is the same situation outside. The visitor is looking. It's like this. So some plants, so they can retreat. And this is the entrance to our visitor center. Inside there is everything about conservation, zoos, history, and so on. And it looks like maybe, is there a restroom, or is it a technical room? Or it's not interesting. And so we decided to put it out. Now it's part of the enclosure. and everybody wants to go inside because what's inside there? It's more monkeys, but there are no monkeys inside. There is education inside. And this is where you saw it before, and now you see it like this. Inside our primate house, it looks like that. Technical equipment, air ventilation, concrete, painted with something, forest or what. This is a playground for children, not for apes. It looks very strange. The whole house, 600,000 euro, okay, it's a little bit more, but within 6 weeks, short time, it looks like that. So now everything is covered, combined natural rocks, artificial rocks, natural trees. The glass is completely demolished. These are the ventilation system. There are now artificial trees with a hole. Nobody sees it. And the animals, they really feel like this is nature. And also the visitor. You can see it here close. It's gone. But okay, it's inside a house. This is okay. You see the roof. There the story ends. This is the visitor area, and it looks, before I started, it was like this, air conditioned, so oh no, like a factory, just covered, and you walk by, you did not see it. You want to see here, what's going on here. This is very cheap, this is made by our gardeners, this is artificial rock. Or here, a pillar made from steel for the roof construction. It's like a barrier inside. Cover it. Oh, it's gone. It's with plants. So it's. I want that the visitor is concentrated in this side and not on the pillar. And this is inside a closure. Looks not very good. So this is also now covered. You can't see this anymore. Outside, rest area, this is a waiting area. No. Very cheap, just concrete, hand modeled by our gardeners, and a wooden bank. This is an entrance area from the visitor area inside the backstage for the zookeepers. Gone, so you just pass away and you didn't pass away. You go by and you didn't see it, or the other side. So you can really play with artificial rocks, and you can cover technical things inside this. And now it looks like that. It's better. This is Polar World, built in 1974. They want, this was, I asked the architect, what would you say to us if when you have planned this? And he said, this should be rocks. He said, why didn't you use rocks? Okay, in the 70s it was state of the art. And so I said, can I change it maybe? And they said, okay, let's do it. And after that, it looks like that. It's like a lagoon, covered, all this concrete is covered with artificial rocks. And so you're now concentrated on the seals swimming inside this lagoon. This was the visitor area, and now it's like that. We use also glass, but we combined it with artificial rock, and so it's not so man-made. From the other side, there are the seals, And now it's like that. This was a water basin, and we built now. There's the polar fox now inside here, and there is the polar rabbit. This was the building. The building was okay, enough space, everything was fine, but it looks like a shelter, Second World War, something like that. No? Just covered, and now you are here. Rabbit and fox must be here. Both checking. Another scene. Looks like that. Education about plastic in the ocean and so on. And that's it. Thank you. Sorry, it's too long.